do have a quorum, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 5. Great, we'll start with if there's any adjustments to the agenda.
There's some caregivers that are here from farm to forest school. I had put that later in the agenda because I thought that they might be here a little bit later due to conferences, but just maybe when we're missing one more member. Is that what we're missing? Yeah. When that member joins, finish up whatever we're on discussion wise, but then we'll move it up. So I'll just sit all the way down to 8.4.
That's okay with me. Is that acceptable for everybody else?
Yeah.
All right.
And there was their written report they provided in your packet as well.
Thank you.
All right, so if there's no further adjustments to the agenda, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes from Monday, September 8th, our regular board meeting, and Tuesday, September 30th, our board retreat.
So moved.
Second?
I had a couple possible corrections or amendments. I don't know if I'm right or editing, if it's okay to go over those. This is on
Yes,
the
absolutely.
September 8th meeting.
So we have a motion and a second, so it's now moving to amend. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
First one is under 7.2,
And this is on Monday, September 8th?
Monday, September 8th. Yeah.
Okay.
7.2. I just wanted to clarify to make sure the second sentence under 7.2, each local district has not voted. And I thought that they had voted. So, but this is a follow up on Act 73 and
So I'm sorry, say the number again, 7.2?
7.2. Under discussion.
We did not have each district vote. The SU voted.
Excuse me?
The SU voted that motion. The districts did not do a separate vote.
They did not. Okay, so that's accurate. So
Correct.
thank you. And the other one was, I just think for clarification, 7.3 board development. The board discussed that this be discussed, and I just want to make sure that this means the retreats. Rather than the goals, principles. So my suggestion is to propose that the retreats be discussed during, in other words, when they have the retreats. I just didn't understand this, and it's important because we talked about, hey, let's discuss this during the spring, maybe in March or something like that.
So specifically, the goals of the retreat was what you were asked to discuss in the spring. Not the principles, protocols. It was the retreat.
I took it to mean that what we were talking about was the retreat, but
Okay.
that could be wrong. So we need to clarify what this is, whether it's the retreats or the principles, protocols, and goals.
Okay, so it's
What is it? What's the correct answer to that?
discussing the board's principles and protocols and goals at the retreat, which we were unable to, or at the October or November meeting. And so
Yep.
therefore, we are indeed going to be, it's on the agenda to talk about the board, right?
Yep.
Principles.
Next month.
Yeah.
Or
Tonight.
tonight.
Yes.
Yep.
Propose that this be discussed. Oh, I see what you're saying. What does this refer to?
Yeah.
The
I
board
think it's
proposed-
the principles, protocols, and goals.
It doesn't,
No, it's not clear, and I'm not sure what
No.
I mean, if you read it slowly, we're gonna talk about something at the retreat or at our October and November meeting. And the board proposed that this be discussed during the spring. Well, we're discussing it in October or November.
I wasn't at that part of your meeting. I haven't gotten to
Okay.
that, so I can't.
I'm
speak to-
sorry, I cannot clarify either.
I do remember this, but I can't pull it out.
I took it to mean that, because
What was the relevant data? So if you go on to the next sentence, the reason that we want to talk about this is so that there would be relevant data before leaving for the summer. So
Well,
what,
if we were gonna have a retreat and kind of review how we're doing and what we
Okay.
need to plan for and organize, then having it later in our school year, we'd have more data. So I
okay,
interpreted that to meaning that proposed that when we consider our retreats, we consider it during the spring, because we'll have more data. But again, I'm one of six, so.
kind of, you mean going forward
Yes.
to always kind of have it in the spring rather than in the fall, or to kind of just make sure we do two, one in the fall and one in the spring?
Well, our current goals is to have 2 retreats.
Okay.
So we have one in the fall, kind of that we look back and then we propose our goals going forward and how we did with our protocols going back and whether we need to change any of the protocols. So that's what we're doing in the fall. The second one would be how we're doing, and by the way, do we need to be thinking about going forward? And I think that was the idea of the second. I think JC was really advocating the need for having 2, how we doing?
Yeah,
And this last retreat was really, I thought, very, very constructive and worthwhile. So, but again, it's up to the board to decide. We only need one, but let's just.
May I make a suggestion that
Yes, please.
the board proposed that an additional retreat be discussed during spring, perhaps March, between
Okay.
the town and the budget meetings?
yeah, so this meaning retreat.
Yeah, right.
I like
An
that.
additional retreat.
And we will have to discuss the feasibility of doing it. Well, I guess once our budget is, yeah, well, I like that. The board proposes that a retreat be discussed,
An additional. retreat.
an additional retreat, additional retreat. Okay. Does that, is there additional corrections?
Sorry to bog us down, but no,
I second that motion, those
Corrections?
corrections.
All right.
Vote
So
on the corrections.
great, let's vote on the corrections that were proposed by Bill. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great, so we have a motion on the floor to accept the minutes,
Amended.
the amended minutes from Monday, September 8th. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The original motion was indeed for both Monday and Tuesday,
Yes, that's
so,
correct.
do
So both are.
we good? Everybody happy?
Yeah.
Okay,
And do we have, are we ready for to adjust the?
yes, so we can go ahead and, or do we have all of our, no, okay, we just had additional people show up. Okay, great, well then we will move on to, public comment then. Is there any public comment? We will have another public comment at the end, if anybody has additional comments that they want to make. Great,
Can I make a board comment?
yeah, that's funny, the board comment is coming,
Okay,
actually.
I'm sorry.
Drag that back foot, Key.
She must be at a game with their kids, okay, great. So yes, we do board.
I see that. Amy, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
sorry.
I just got excited.
I know, and they usually do go back to back, we have now moved on to number 5 then, celebration of learning, apple
Yeah.
picking, and the life cycle of an apple.
So, pretty much everybody is in parent-teacher conferences right now. So, 2 weeks ago now, our preschool went to Liberty Orchards together, then our kindergarten, first grade, and then our second and third grade. So 3 separate days, despite the lack of apples. They can all tell you that it's because there's a lack of pollination and that we're in a drought.
Awesome.
So we really had to go with, when we're thinking about our portrait of a learner characteristics, flexible thinking, because there also was no bath. That just creates a whole nother level when you send
And
kids
it
on a
rained.
field trip. And it was the only rain we've had in the last 2 months. They had an awesome time. So if you go to the next slide, this is kind of how they broke it down. So in preschool, this is some kiddos first field trip. So I'm gonna pass along for you their social story, but they read a story about actually going on a field trip and practicing how to get on the bus, what that looks like, their friends, lots of visuals. They also talked about how apples grow and what's needed, hence why we need the bees. And then their wonder was, well, what happens at an orchard with all their apples when they have lots of apples? And then they used a lot of counting to count down the days till they were actually at the apple. And then when they were hiking at the orchard and coming back, they got to use an old-fashioned peeler, which was a highlight. We'll talk about that in a second. Kindergarten and first grade has been learning about the life cycle of bees and why bees are so important just in general. And then it was perfect about how apples need bees to survive, and that's part of the reason for lack of apples or smaller apples, as well as the drought and what is the life cycle of the apple. Second and third grade really focused on water and rain impact, again, pollination. They also learned about the different seasons, what's needed at each season for apple trees to produce apples. And then a popular read was Johnny Appleseed. Second and third grade. If you go ahead to the next one. So some of our obstacles, I didn't put the bats on. We didn't put that in there. We saved that for was the weather. We hadn't had any rain, and then for two groups it poured, but they had a great time. I know the kids were fine with it. The adults might have a hard time, but self-described, one of the best parts was that some of the groups they love to play on each other's playgrounds because that's not something they get to do very often. So they're all very excited when they get to go to another place, even if it's just to Stockbridge or to Rochester, and use the playground. They also were able to hunt and find a ton of dropped apples. And while I think teachers were a little hesitant, it even said that in one of the notes they sent me, it ended up being like they had to work together to figure out where apples were. It wasn't as easy as walking up at a tree and the tree had a ton of apples. They actually had to work in teams to collect what they needed. So it built a little teamwork in there. And so search for apples. They spent some time together outside of school, which they always enjoy. And they were super excited to make something with the items they picked. And I also am excited to go to the next slide. Here's a few action shots. Not as many rainy day shots. We did take advantage of this one. I'd say another obstacle is we had a friend who had a trampoline injury and is on crutches. So different adults helped her navigate the orchard, which was great. There's still apples everywhere in the other building if you're looking. If we go to the next slide, Calvin. So what did they do? So lots of taste tests with different things, right? So in preschool, and I'm just always amazed at adult creativity here. They paired with honey, peanut butter, and cheddar cheese to see which they liked best. What should it go with? It was close, but peanut butter came out on top. Cheddar cheese was next, but the feedback from preschool was we're not sure that they really understood the eating the cheese and the apple together. And that may just be that we like cheese. All right, they also produced a small batch of the applesauce where they got to use the old-fashioned core, which people really liked, the kids especially, because for some of them it's, no, you can't use knives and it's got the peeler, but they can spin the wheel and we can be safe. They also sorted the apples by size and different colors to see if they tasted differently. And then some they took home. In kindergarten, first grade, they also did homemade applesauce, but they tasted warm versus cold. And they learned how to make apple crisp. They measured and compared seeds and then classified was this a big apple, what size seed went with it. They made apple art, which is all sorts of lots of paint. Yay for K1 teachers. I think they're amazing people. And they also observed what do apples do in different types of liquids. So do they float? Do they sink? Whether it's with vegetable oil, whether it's with water, things of that nature. Second and third grade got very adventurous this year and made apple butter instead of always making applesauce. Apple, which is very good, by the way. We got sent home with some, and it was fabulous. Apple pie filling, apple crisp, and applesauce. The, one group over here, Miss G, knows how to make apple dolls. So she's actually gonna teach, the kids how to make apple dolls over the next month, but you have to dry the apples out first. So there's no product to show anybody right now.
So you guys got the apples at the orchard and
At
brought
the
them back to
yes.
the respective kitchens and
Yes.
did some cooking.
Yep. And then they did a comparison of just sizes and number of bees. And now they're wanting to track the bees in the spring
Cool.
to see if that means they'll have more apples next year.
That's awesome. Putting that together. Yeah.
Trying to think if there's anything I missed. So the favorites from kids were they loved being in the rain. They like to have to search not just for the apples, but good apples. And they had a long talk about that. They enjoyed just the time together, and the toss-up was then being able to use a different structure for games. Was always a highlight. But yeah,
Excellent.
I'll take any questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna make more of a
Got to-
comment.
Yeah, that's what I was
got
gonna
to
say
tag
too.
along.
Yeah.
So, bird's eye view is just wonderful to see both schools and their, relative grades
Yeah,
together again, connecting both schools.
right.
And I told you my story of how wonderful One Planet summer camp was for Owen to start making bonds with Rochester friends, and it was just tickled us silly seeing friends be like, "Oh, you're Owen's dad, where's it?" Getting excited to see our boy. It was great. So thank you, Lindy, for
You're
connecting
welcome.
the groups.
All I can say is that I sign off on the bus form. The
Yeah.
teachers do the hard work, but it's exciting that they all want to get together and do those things.
Applesauce is honestly, it was unbelievable. Owen brought home. I mean, that little container clean. It was really good. Thank you.
Did you share?
What he allowed me and Mom to get a little taste, but it was tremendous.
Well, thank you. I really like seeing this celebration of learning, how it was a very fun
Mm.
experience. My sister went apple picking today, I just heard before our meeting. But that to spin it into what can we learn from this? What can we learn from our environment around us? And there's a lot out there, and I think that's really wonderful.
Yeah.
So thank you.
They did, I just can't praise the teachers enough, because we
Yes.
got like this Sunday night email that was like, the apple orchard is shut down because there's not enough trees, can we really make this work? And they kind of put their heads together very quickly and figured out how to make it all
That's
still a
wonderful.
doable experience for kids.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear we have a
Yeah.
good team.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Well, it's female elements.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful.
Excellent. Is there any more questions or comments for Lindy? Okay, great. Well, we'll move on to board comment. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, I really appreciate the letter in the front porch forum that the board chairs all signed. I thought it was really well written,
Yes.
and I thought it answered a lot of questions that I've been hit with lately, and thank you.
Absolutely. That was the team behind me, definitely,
Yeah.
at the SU. So,
Because then it says something, well, we're gonna be putting more stuff out.
Yes.
And all of a sudden it was there, I was like, yes.
yeah, we talked about it and, yeah. So thank you.
Board comment
Yes,
section.
board comment.
Here in Pittsfield, school board is meeting Wednesday to talk about their steps going forward, and in their town meeting, from what I heard, that people were concerned about the price per student that they're paying within the town. Do you think it's worth, I unfortunately selfishly bringing this up, but I am unavailable, but I think it's Wednesday night at 6 PM. If we could have a board rep, is anyone available, or think it's worth?
This is the
10.
8th.
Yes, this coming Wednesday. I know I had just heard about it this afternoon. It's just the start of their budget conversation. And I don't know if us as an SU want to be involved. I know there was conversation from our retreat, and getting ahead of myself, but just.
Well, I mean, I would be very interested to hear what's happening with them. And I mean, they are our friends and neighbors.
Yeah.
It is, we're not quite ready to approach them with
Yeah.
anything, but it's more of where is everybody at? We've
Yeah.
got some stuff coming down from the state. It's pretty hard.
Yeah,
What is other people doing? I unfortunately, I'm at my daughter's open house.
Yeah.
So,
No, yeah.
but, what do you think, Jamie? Do you think it's appropriate to sit or would it be
Well,
better
if
just
someone's, we should give their soup and their board chair a heads up.
if somebody was
We're
gonna
do
attend?
that.
I mean, I'd like to
We can
know what's
certainly just sit
happening,
and listen.
Yeah.
As a rep. I still want to give them the heads up, that we were gonna do that. I'm not around on Wednesday night,
So
so.
Patrick said that he was gonna stay with us for
Yeah.
a few more months, and he lives down there, right? Or by there. I just saw him at Pittsfield.
He just texted me, it came in, he had an planned, an unexpected work-related meeting this evening, so anyways,
Okay,
he wanted me
thank
to pass that along.
thank you.
I mean, it is one of our buckets of connecting to the Pittsfield School District.
No, I'll volunteer, and you're recommending that basically I'm there and I listen, okay? But I think, we've been interested in Pittsfield and Pittsfield's parents and the fact that we have a really good educational system and product. And way back in the day, Pittsfield and Stockbridge had, basically Pittsfield kids all came to Stockbridge Community Schools. And then something happened, and I will not, goes back before my 20 years. Something happened that separated the two, which is unfortunate.
I mean,
And
they
they
were
ended
part
up
of the
going
SU
to
at one
the
point.
Killington system. So, but we still believe that the kids should be seriously, and the parents should be seriously considering Stockbridge in Rochester for their children. And so this might be an opportunity now to.
Yeah, I'm curious, are
start
they
that
talking
dialogue.
about, I would be curious to hear, are they talking about wanting to designate to try to keep tuitions lower or not, right? Like, I just don't know what that means,
No,
like,
and I don't know what
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
tuition is. Do we know what it is over in Killington?
I don't know.
Or do we even know what their
Anyone know?
structure is?
No.
Are they even choice at all? I mean, it would just be good reconnaissance to just.
No, okay, where is it gonna be?
Someone in the
Town hall,
public.
At the town hall, okay.
it's Bill, I'll reach out to you for the details.
Anybody wanna join me?
I would love to be there, but
Okay.
I need to in the
All right.
house.
Cool.
But I
Thank you for that
I
heads
do
up.
agree that it would be appropriate for us to talk to the chair and the superintendent.
We should just
And
give
just
them
say,
a heads
hey,
up.
I'm just wanted to come and, we're all struggling.
Yeah, are you gonna do that at your,
I'll write something tomorrow. Yeah, it's Wednesday night.
Yeah.
To Sherry, and I'll find
Yeah.
out what their board chair is.
Yeah.
And just get a note off.
cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any other board comments? Okay, well then we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
So you have my report in hand. I mean, I did try to outline the buckets we talked about. I think tonight under that agenda item, if we could try to have some board members step into just helping take some leadership in each one of those buckets. Could be example, Bill, you're our liaison, right, directly to Pittsfield School District as an example to that. In regards to the rest of the report, it's a bit different. I try to provide a progress monitoring report on my professional goals for the board, both at the SU level and at the district level. I'm really hopeful that the embargo for the BT cap results from last spring will be lifted here within the next few weeks, so we can get those academic data reports out. You will receive your RSUD local assessment data report next month, on Track My Progress. The other thing I think that's happening right at the state right now that's a bit, we spent a lot of time on our WRVSU Portrait of a Learner, and the state last year moved graduation requirements to the AOE in regards to the state board approving graduation requirements at the secondary level. I think with that is gonna come a Vermont Portrait of a Learner at the AOE is gonna push us pretty hard on adopting as a state. And so we're just gonna have to see how that work interplays and aligns to the work that we've done here locally in regards to our curriculum work and documents. So stay tuned on that. That as that starts to play out, I'll provide more updates to you.
Maybe we can show Mars and they can model
There
it
you
after
go.
us.
I think there will be some similarities, is my sense. So I just wanted to mention that, in regards to, other updates, I think it'll come underneath those other two agenda items specific to Act 73. Or in regards to us following up from the retreat and kind of some additional thoughts I had around how do we get some momentum coming out of that retreat.
Absolutely.
I'll take any questions folks may have.
I just had one, and that is the new strategic plan, the current one that expired this June, 25. And now we're talking about fiscal year 26, 27, and 28. Is that correct?
25, 26, 26, 27, 27, 28.
Okay, but are we talking about calendar year? Or we're talking about fiscal year, are we not?
Mhm.
Okay, all right, so there's an overlap on the last fiscal year.
Nope, it'd be fiscal year 25, 26, which just started July 1st.
Right. Okay, that's what you mean. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Jamie? Okay, great. Move on to the principal's report.
Yeah, so you have my report in hand. A couple of things that I'll highlight or add to is I would say we spent most of our in-service time as a staff really focused on our grading implementation of Alma, our new student information system, right? So for the first time, teachers will have to use the grade book in the student information system. This is new for elementary teachers to align it specifically to our performance indicators. So they'll change the look of report cards a little bit. Not that the indicators have just changed, but instead of saying, we haven't gotten to this yet, because that's like a May thing or an April thing, it'll only print how the student was assessed for things they've actually been taught at that point and been assessed on. So we've spent most of our September in-service days on working with that, both at the SU level, where they got to align with people in similar curriculum teams, grade-like teams, and both in our building-based level, because that was a different approach in general, just even in using the system for that tool. So that has been where a lot of work has been. We're in the beginning of parent-teacher conferences. They started this evening. And after school, and they will go through the rest of this week. So folks are in the building, which is great to have people back for. Our Stockbridge PTO also hosted a bake sale at the Pittsfield Bazaar at the end of September, which was very successful. And then both PTOs are in the process of planning a combined bingo night again.
Oh, fun.
for November.
Yeah.
Yes. Other than that, I'll take any questions folks might have. I'll save the other things for when the farm to school to force folks go.
You mentioned hiring and updates the last, that you're still in search of,
We are.
okay.
Yep. I refreshed the ad the other day. I met with the teacher apprenticeship program, and they really only have someone if you bring someone to you, like if you bring someone to them looking for an alternative licensure. They didn't have someone like waiting in the wings.
Did you check with the Upper Valley teachers?
And I like bi-weekly rotation of like checking in
Right.
the Upper Valley Educators Institute.
Yeah. The alternative program.
Mhm.
But the team you have in place now is working.
It is working. Students seem to be enjoying and really engaged in learning. It's just not, folks are really stepping up.
Yes,
And I'm
absolutely.
grateful for
So
that.
it'd be nice for them to, if we can find a permanent position so that they can.
Exactly.
Great, okay, well, good luck with that and keep forging ahead. Great, is there any other questions for Lindy? If not, we'll move on to Tara.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. You have my report. It outlines what's happening in the business office during the month of October, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has on it.
I don't have a question, but just a comment. Anybody add up all those bullets? Everything that we were doing in 1 month, there's 13 bullets, okay? There's report. And so, kudos to you and your team that you can do those, and we're just taking it, of course. So
Yeah.
it's a nice feeling for us to have, and we know where it's coming from. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great, so if there's no further questions, we'll move on to the policy committee. If there's any updates?
In regards to the policy committee, so they've been working on a policy that you did get to see in August, had been voted out of committee, policy C33, which was going to provide for a limited number of transfer options throughout the SU for students in the elementary and middle school grades if we had a district operating middle school grades, where the average daily membership would remain with the home district, but a family could petition the superintendent to allow for choice within the SU. There was some feedback from boards on that, so we drafted a new policy for the committee to look at that was called C33. And it was an intra-SU transfer policy. It would still allow for the same thing, but there was some concerns around this idea of like choice within the title. That was debated for about a half hour at the policy committee at our last meeting, and we weren't at a place to feel like the policy committee was ready to move it back out. So my sense, we're gonna meet at 5 o'clock in October to try to work on getting a policy back out of committee for boards to start reading. In November, I mean, there seems to be some momentum throughout the boards in regards to working together to try to provide some vehicle for limited transfers to happen from one district to another. And I think in general, it provides more pathways, right, for our kids to get what they need. And so I'm certainly supportive of this concept and idea. I think it's really important that weights stay with the home district. And that there's provisions that if it was going to result in, example, us not be able to meet minimum class size requirements due to Act 73 for a cohort, that might be a reason that we didn't provide students to leave. So, and I think the policy does a nice job of articulating that. So my sense is this is going to be one of those policies that's going to probably take us, 10 months to get, but I think we will probably get one on the books by the end of the year, which will be good. I think it's good around showing interdependence across the SU. I think it gives a really good example for our legislature how an SU can work together in regards to providing more opportunities for kids within the SU governance structure, not needing to be an SD to allow things like this to occur. So I'm feeling optimistic about that.
Can I just,
Yes.
if Patrick's gonna leave us, that leaves a hole in the policy committee, I'm willing to do that since I'm on the full board anyway, so I'll just make a longer day.
Great.
Is that acceptable to everybody?
Absolutely.
I nominate Robin.
To be on the policy committee, excellent. Second.
Just don't tell my husband.
After,
So I was hoping that Patrick was going to be here, and I wanted to wait for him to be here to really say anything, but Patrick has decided that he's going to step down from the board. He is willing to stay on through the end of this year, but due to life's commitments, and I definitely appreciate that. We're, hard. So anyway, so he will be stepping down come the end of this year. So
That was my thought, was to make it easier for him, so he doesn't feel like, I gotta end this now.
I absolutely let me just make sure I reach out to him and say that that's the succession plan we would like to go with, and if he's ready to do that right now, then that would be great. Or if not, you can be ready to step in.
Right.
And everyone's welcome to attend, even if you're not a voter.
I know, you've told me that before, but I just,
It would be good to have something official.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much for volunteering for that.
Can I make
Yes.
just a question about, in the policy that's going on, the C33? I was just curious if there is some, because there was something out of our retreat about choice at 6. This is maybe an avenue for some of our students or parents that want to shift kids in Bethel that starts at 6 to maybe
Bethel starts
7.
Bethel starts at 6,
So-
and Middlebury starts at 6. So yes, that could be an option for
But not for
families,
Middlebury, just for.
but not for Middlebury.
Yeah, but it's great. They get an opportunity to get exposed to another one of our SU programs.
Yes.
You can get intertwined if that works with the families. But anyways, I just didn't know if that was a possibility for.
Well, it's something to think about as we're looking at this policy, that could be something that, it gets looked at.
Yeah.
So for us to weigh the benefits and
Yep.
and the negatives of that. So thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you.
So we can take a look at that. Absolutely. All right, so if there's no other questions for the policy committee, we will move on to the discussion items, the board governance and operation protocols and self-evaluation.
So I gave you a copy of the evaluation that we did. We had 5 responses. It's pretty self-explanatory because, each person is 20%. I just took what Bill had sent me and just reworded it. And I kept the pie chart because it just made for easier reading than the spreadsheet. But maybe we should go through, Amy, I don't know if you want to take the wheel and go through it step by step with it, Bill.
I actually would like to hand the wheel to Bill because he is so very integral with this. And so I would like him to take the lead in whatever fashion he feels, if that is acceptable.
Yeah, and I thought I brought extra copies for the audience, because this thing can be confusing about what we're talking about, so I don't know if you have copies for them. Back a few years ago, the board looked at how do we measure whether we're doing a good job? And what are the rules of the game? How should we behave? And what are our expectations for each other and towards the community? And we came up with what's in front of you, our governance principles, which are kind of the upper level key things that why we're here. And it's a good test. If we don't believe in those principles, it's a real question whether we should be on the board. Those principles, in short, says that we take our job seriously. And there's overriding, it's just essential things that we need to be able to carry out and advance as a board. And then under operating protocols are just those things that clarify if you're a new board member or a geezer like myself, to remember and to be aware of and not be surprised about or go, oops, I'm sorry, dude, I won't do it again. So those are things that we developed, and the footnote shows that on both of those, we had guidance from 2 books that we were reading, and we plagiarized and advanced some of those. So it's not necessarily we created all those out of thin air. And tonight we're going over, because we've been following these protocols and the governance principles for years now. I think this is the 4th year. And our job is, well, how do we do? And tonight we did a self-assessment of our principles and operating, and basically asked each other, how do we do in each one of these? And the results are in this pie chart that Robin created through a Google survey platform. So we're going to be going over that now and seeing if there's anything we need to do to strengthen. And then at the end of the exercise, we're going to just basically say, does this say what we want to do? Do we need to add, subtract, or modify any of the protocols or principles? If not, let's accept what we learned and vote on utilizing those principles. And operating protocols for this current year going forward. So that's what we're doing right now. And Robin, if you'll just lead us through each one.
Well, you want to read the first one because I don't have it on my.
Oh, sure. Under a board governance principles, the board establish the vision, create policies, and ensure the accountability. That really speaks to what we have, and it really speaks to, did we follow those principles, or did we violate one of those cardinal principles? It's like the 10 Commandments, and this says that we did it regularly, and sometimes that and we have an opportunity here to say, yes, and we could do better by, what somebody wants to give us an example, of how we could have everybody regularly follow that. And so this is an opportunity for each member of the board to say, comment or not comment. There's no, I mean, the goal is that we follow these things pretty closely, but we don't walk on water. And from time to time, we can forget or just get bogged down on something else. And you can say, wait a second, we're not doing that all the time. So
I think for that one, it looks like, you know, we had one sometimes and the rest were regularly.
Yeah.
And maybe we just need to make sure we have regularly or always on.
Yep.
In terms of, you know, people feel confident that we're doing that.
I'll let you know that we're a little nervous here because if we don't pass, we get sent to the principal's office.
There's not a lot of room in there, I can't take them all at once.
The next one, did the board stay focused on student wellness and student achievement? 60% said always, and some said regularly. The other 40%. To me, you add those up, that's 100%. I mean,
Yeah, I feel that
I feel good about
I
that.
agree.
Comments?
Yeah.
Did the board govern together as a team with a common focus and purpose? And again, it's, well, it flipped a little bit, regularly and always. My sense on that is common focus. Sometimes each one of us comes in here with a priority, and sometimes maybe we're not spending enough time on our personal priorities, but we're a team and our goal is to work together. And I must have been on a lot of boards in my career, and you look at a board that functions very, very well. And one reason for that is our sense of teamwork and respect.
Well, and I just want to make a comment, in the comments at the very end of what the board did well, the word collaboration is in there quite a bit. So I do feel that, you know, and listening to each other is in there as well. So I do think that speaks to this governing together as a team. So.
Next one is, did the board govern in a transparent, open, accessible manner? And again, it's regularly or always. For 100%. Any comments, questions, or did the board govern in a collaboration with the superintendent? And I got the strongest one yet, so that, Jamie, how would you score us?
Well, yeah, it's a working relationship.
Thank you. Did the board maintain a high standard of integrity? And again, 80-20, always or regularly. So that takes care of the principles, and then we delved into the protocols, the actual protocols. And did the board represent the needs and interests of all the students in our district? And the nice thing all about these things is it's regularly or always, again.
They really are.
What is interesting is that when adopting these protocols, we capitalize all. So we see ourselves as responsible for all kids
Absolutely.
growing up in Stockbridge, Rochester. We don't have a direct role necessarily. For instance, the children are being homeschooled, but we're trying to represent their needs as well as the students that actually cross our threshold. Did the board consider the superintendent's guidance, research, and best practices, public input, and financial impacts in our decision-making? Again, it's 80-20. These are all the things we need to do, but it's a reminder that we just don't wing it. We just don't wing it. And we have a chair that doesn't allow us to do that, but I don't recall a time where, let's go, we're gonna charge off into the distance without thinking and pondering and asking and considering. So that's pretty darn important. Did the board work as a collective? Individuals don't have the authority, only the board has it as a collective body. And I know a lot of new board members, wherever you are, can come to join the board and basically speak for the board. And we cannot speak for, we can represent what the board decided, but we are not the board. And so that delineation is an important one so that we don't get veered off into where we shouldn't really be going. Did the board lead as an example? We agreed to avoid words and actions that negatively impact an individual, our board, or the district. While we encourage debate and differing points of view, we will do it with care and respect. And again, those are all very important. I think we all believe in that in our hearts. It didn't have to be drilled into us. And
then I'm happy to see that everybody does feel that we're on that positive side.
Yeah.
And I mean, if this was all green, you question, did everybody really pay attention to what that question meant? So, well, we are on the positive side of it. So I think that's wonderful. I'm very happy.
Did the board follow this statement? Surprises to the board meeting shall only be brought forth under special circumstances. We agree to ask the board chair to place an item on an upcoming agenda instead of bringing it up unexpectedly at meetings. And that allows us to keep organized. Do we have the information? Is it appropriate to do it now versus later? All that sort of thing. And that's, again, our collaborative, connective
Speaks being
scheme on those things. And it's, I don't know, you're the best one to speak to this, that were you blindsided?
Right, and it just speaks to that by not having surprises, we are able to do our research and to be able to come to a meeting prepared for what is going to be asked, because there's, you need to have to know and have a little history and have a little effective thought process of what's being brought to the table, except to be able to respond in a positive way.
Next one is, did the board avoid long meetings by sticking to the agenda? Issues outside the agenda will be aired and deferred without debate whenever appropriate to future meetings. And the board will consistently practice audience participation protocols. And I think my memory is shot these days, but I have a pretty clear memory that the 4.5 years I've been on the board, rarely have we exceeded the 2-hour goal. And frequently we go less than that. It doesn't mean we rush through and we don't care. It means we're organized, and Amy keeps us going and we get the important decisions made and the discussions or debate taken care of. So that's cool, and it continues to be important. The other nice thing we have now is that we also have Zoom capabilities. We've had that for several years, but those board members that can't be here in person can utilize that.
Bill, did the board bring any requests or concerns regarding personnel director decision?
Did they?
Did we miss this one? Did the board, my,
No, we're not there yet.
okay,
We haven't come across any ones that have any threads in it yet.
okay.
So
My copy is.
I'm missing that.
My copy's a little shot, that's.
I'm
why.
missing this page that
I might have
that
skipped
he's
too.
what he was reading.
Okay, now I have, did the board bring any requests or concerns regarding personnel directly to the superintendent? And,
Okay, we're good.
I don't know, so,
Yeah, it is,
We
How
have
do
a
I
couple
know?
of school board, yeah, we also have new board members that we haven't experienced.
that's right.
yeah,
And I don't have the, where is it here? Yeah, the actual thing says, yeah, the board will bring any of its requests or concerns regarding personnel directly to the superintendent.
That's what it said.
So that's, and that's why there, you've got this, I don't know, big 60% there.
Aren't we supposed to go through the chair first, though, as far as that goes?
Not the way this is written, but it doesn't mean that's not a bad idea.
Well, it says did the board, so wouldn't we go to Amy and go to the board and talk, like, wouldn't this be? an
Oh, that's right,
executive
the
session
board
type of-
will, that's right.
Well, if there's a problem with personnel, it's usually by report from,
Right.
Okay, so it is the
One of the
board, it's not an individual. There it
Right.
goes. So by
And it-
definition, it's gonna go through Amy
Yeah.
to the superintendent.
Right.
Yeah, thank you for.
So maybe we need to reword what it says
Yeah.
in the document. right?
Huh?
So would we have to reword the way it's written in the document?
No, I think that's my bad. It says the board will bring any of its requests or concerns regarding personnel directly to the superintendent. And I think, I was thinking that it could be an individual. And that's really the next one,
Yeah,
where
that's
it's
what I
like a parent or something has concern about a teacher or an incident or something. We have a chain of command, which is the next one. And I was jumping ahead one step. If you feel it could be clearer, then at the end of this discussion, you can move to amend or improve.
Well, these are the end of
Protocol.
a 5-year cycle, so we're gonna be going through them anyway to see if we want to change anything, right?
Well, we do this on an annual basis.
Right, but you said these were 5-year goals. right?
No,
Okay,
I didn't, if I did, I misspoke. We have annual goals.
okay.
And what is 5 years, the strategic plan, which is an SU plan that covers the SU, including our board.
Okay, so
And we're
maybe-
concluding one 5-year plan, and we're in the process of developing the second 5-year at SU strategic plan. And we play a role in that by offering suggestions to that.
So we might want to think about having that as a hierarchy type of situation also.
Okay. Okay, next one. Did the board encourage citizens with a personnel complaint to first bring it to the individual concerned? If unresolved, it should be brought to the principal and if necessary to the superintendent. If unresolved, the complaint may be appealed to the board. And we have 40% don't know and 60% saying always. So are there any comments or questions on that? It sounds like we're continuing to follow that protocol. Did the board avoid long meetings? Okay, I jumped to that.
Okay.
That's my fault.
No, that, I was confused as to the order of operations,
No.
so we're good. Okay, so we've already gone over that one.
Okay, did the board show their commitment to continuously improving our schools and our board? Did the board regularly participate in retreats and training opportunities, listen and learn from each other and the community? 60% says, no, it's 60% says sometimes, and 40% said regularly. So this appears to me as an area that we could strengthen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
By
it
that.
speaks to getting back to our board learning and
Yes.
and stuff that we kind of had gone by the wayside. So I think
Yeah.
that would be great to get.
Yeah.
We should definitely work on that.
That individual board members work to foster peaceful dialogue with community members by listening fully and communicating topics or concerns to the full board. 60% always, 40% regularly. Again, and I don't know if anybody has comments saying that somebody got angry and inappropriate at Shaw's or something, talking about whatever. So, but this is very important to us, and we need to behave the way we want our students and our responsibility to behave. And we need to do this, and I think we do. Okay, and we have answers to what do you think the board does well? Collaboration, listening to the superintendent's guidance, in general, a healthy working relationship with the principal and superintendent. Listen and learn from each other, take our job seriously, work as a team, listening to each other and valuing everyone's individual option and working collaboratively. Collaboration, commitment to children and success of our small schools. Does anybody else want to add to that? I think really captures our strengths.
Yeah. And we know where the computer.
The last is, what could the board do better? And the first one is prioritize the planning of our next retreat. We should have done it over the summer. The principal and superintendent are dedicated extensive time during their summer in preparation for the incoming school year. We, the board, need to prioritize and dedicate time to do the same. And I think that's, I don't know what you read. That's well taken. Next one is be sure to attend meetings prepared and curious. And if I read between the lines on that one, it is that there might be a perception from time to time that not everyone has pre-read the agenda and the board packet before they've gotten here. So, and none of us are perfect on that, but the nice thing is that it's all posted. And if we take the habit of reading that the weekend before, then we could come prepared. And
Or at least as soon as it's out.
Huh?
Sometimes, at least as soon as it's out, because sometimes it's just a couple of days before.
yeah,
Before we have our meeting.
I don't know of any board that ever had, that got 100. You got a grand slam on that one. But it's something that I think we need to commit ourselves to as best we can.
Excellent.
And strategic planning linked to a timeline with a long-term goal and short-term goals to reach the long-term. And that's, if recall the current, or the former strategic plan that ended June 30th this year, you had defined goals and measures and goals to be achieved in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. And so that, unless Jamie is going to change the format, is what we're going to be seeing again. There'll be different priorities and different steps along the way and standards that we're trying to meet. But I think it all ties back to the importance of this comment that we need to have a meaningful timeline with long and short-term goals and how we're going to reach those goals. That's spot on.
With regards to that, I'd like to comment that you need to distinguish between goals and objectives, whereas goals are deeper, are a deep, what we plan to achieve in a deeper sense, but our objectives are how we measure them.
Yeah, it's goals are more broader, and then within those goals, there's normally a series of objectives, building blocks together that will
Well,
achieve
that are-
that overall goal.
that are objectively measured.
Yes, and so
There's also,
the,
you know,
that's in the strategic plan.
what does this goal really look like? And if you articulate what it looks like, then you can say, oh, we hit this, this, and this, and we didn't hit this, this, and
Yeah.
this. It's kind of like we're dealing with standards.
I totally agree, and I didn't bring my copy, but,
And you always have to ask, do these standards achieve our goals?
Right, exactly.
um,
Are they tied?
so we have an opportunity now, in helping to, establish and develop, the goals and the objectives and the time frame going forward for the next years, FY 26, 7, 8. So, that draft has been sent to us, of the current one that we just finished, and we're gonna get the results of our 5-year strategic plan. But we have the opportunity now to dig in and say, hey, I don't understand this, or you've forgotten that, or whatever. And that's a very important role we all have to help work on the SU strategic plan. And you're spot on. I mean, that's,
Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing those. Thank you for putting the Google Doc
That
together.
was nice and easy, it was nice and easy.
Yes, you did. Thank you, nice news. That was great.
This with Granville and
Yeah.
Hancock?
I'll be back.
Okay. Mentioned that we would like to interact with them.
Yeah, I already have reached out to Stacy.
no, I'm just saying that, no, go ahead. Because we still need to do the same review for our goals, our
Excellent.
past
And
goals.
for the past, yes,
And
and.
we're not doing that tonight, right?
Okay,
Is that,
right.
how are we doing that tonight? Robert, you didn't do
No,
the Google poll on our goal achievement.
Did you give me the goal?
I thought I did, so we'll talk about it.
Okay.
so is this a good time to transition to the farm and forest?
Yes.
As, I
Please.
assume, I saw somebody else come in, I'm hoping that, okay, we got everybody that we're looking for. So we're gonna go ahead and do 8.4, the farm and forest school task force updates.
Thank you for having us on your agenda. It's not the first time. You all may remember about a year ago, a few of parents from Stockbridge Central came to visit to propose and request support from the board to pursue enhancing the existing outdoor ed program at Stockbridge, but also RSUD schools, to enhance both forest, outdoor ed, and farm to school. So a few of us here around me from Stockbridge School have been working over the last year, and we wanted to provide an update, which you have in your board packets. Really what we're here to do is let you know our progress, but also ask you if you might be able to provide other suggestions and support to help us implement and incorporate curriculum of these principles into our schools. Katie, you've done a lot of work with our planning and grant writing as well, so we wanted to just highlight a few things that are our highlights.
Yeah, so year one, 2024, 2025, we basically took the existing footprint of the gardens that were there, and we're very grateful that the board suggested we connect with Mary from the WRVSU, the community coordinator, who was probably the greatest resource that we could have ever been introduced to. She introduced us to Vital Communities, and through that connection, we received a ton of both like informational help and also financial help in getting our kind of first pass at the gardens implemented. So we collected donations from High Mowing, we collected donations from the community at large for both starts and seeds. Mary introduced us to Vital Communities who helped us with kind of a layout plan, also materials and supplies for year one. Mary also introduced us to a bunch of different grant opportunities, which we pursued, and we ended up getting. So for 2025, 2026, we kind of wanted to present what our goals are in continuing that, and also talk about ways that aligns with the now expired strategic plan of the past. But we took that and basically kind of adapted what our goals were and aligned it with the goals of the board to kind of just show you that, you know, what you guys are doing is extremely important and impactful in the execution of what we do too. So goal one for us was the continue to, for 2025, 2026 is to continue to revitalize the outdoor classroom there. Research has shown that outdoor education is not only boosting its student engagement, but also the board's goal of, you know, focusing on academic performance and also increased participation and attendance for students. So we kind of want to continue to develop that space out there, and also noted that the board talked a lot about the capital improvements of the building in that 2025 plan. And just to say that as those conversations continued and as those conversations developed, or in whatever way that they do, we would love to be a part of those conversations, hear a little bit more about those conversations, because we strongly feel that the garden provides a very, just like, an incredible addition to that kind of space and footprint of the school.
I mean, like water access, irrigation
Yes.
as one of them for the capital improvements.
Yes.
We could greatly benefit those school gardens by having a secure water source.
We know that there was talk of potential, maybe, you know, redoing that parking lot area and so maybe potentially running some piping through there so that there was a better kind of closer system. We are in talks with vital communities about an irrigation system where we collect rain, but non-existent rain.
When it works this year.
To implement an irrigation system there. But, you know, if that were something, we would just, you know, love to be able to talk a little bit more about that. And then in terms of kind of implementation in the classroom, so thus far, the initiative has been very much driven by parents who are invested in this initiative and kids who are kind of willingly or unwillingly dragged along to the gardens to participate, but we're hoping that we can kind of fuse this initiative a little bit more so into the classrooms. And so, you know, one of the things that we talked a fair amount about in the grants that we applied for was creation of a seed library, not only for kind of the continuation of conversation about, you know, the heirloom seeds, Vermont's history of agriculture, seed saving and conservation, you know, creating time capsules for these kids to have of like a collection of all the things that they've planted in their gardens over the years, pictures of their gardens over the years, and just have like a running memory of their time at Stockbridge Central School. But also in terms of like that equity and access for all students, giving them the resources within this library to go in and say, I might not have a garden at home, but I want to grow this and I want to pull these seeds out of this library and plant them in my garden, or I want to read these books and be able to do that here. And so kind of aligning with that equity and access point that the board made. And then just kind of continuing that collection, that connection between classroom, family, and community. We have created a resource of, within the district, all of the farms, all of the community partners who we think would be appropriate allies for class trips, for lecture series, for coming into the school and kind of developing a running curriculum of farm to school for these kids. So obviously, we're not planting anything in winter outside or doing anything like that, but just to keep kind of excitement going, to keep kids motivated and interested in it. We're hoping the board could give us some guidance about in the past if there have ever been community initiatives like this, where it is driven by, you know, parents, community members, and how it's kind of been adapted into the school a little bit more successfully. You know, we're in our infancy, so we're just trying to make the right decisions and do the right thing. So we're hoping the board could give us any kind of guidance they have on previous initiatives like this that have been successful.
I really love everything that you guys have been doing. I think it just is so important to get kids outside in the garden, learning outside. You know, you think we live in Vermont, so everybody must have a garden, but not so anymore. Not everybody lives on a farm, not everybody has interest or ability to have a garden. And I do think getting in the dirt is a real important opportunity for kids to have. So thank you for taking the time and the energy to get something started. We definitely, I'd like to hear from other members of the board, because we are many members, but I really enjoy it, and I'd like to definitely support this going forward.
And funding what's needed to keep it going.
Help with it.
I'm curious, is there a requirement or any community member that would take on service projects for your upper level kids, your fourth, fifth, and sixth graders to do into your community? So a lot of, I've had experience where community members have come in and worked with kids, and together they worked as a stewardship program, preserve and serve the community. Sometimes it's a matter, and I'm gonna take from a different river, but you have a river, so there's pulling knotweed. There's making or building up around the banks for trout, especially right now, they really need it. There's doing, not even just the chemical test, but you can do, which is a lot of fun, you can do, a rapid bioassessment, which is just, it's actually like collecting bugs, but the bugs will tell you what good condition the river's in.
Yeah.
Part of also the preserve and serve, which I don't know if it fits in with your local, like having the kids work on the local cemeteries and clean the lichen off the stones and discover things that are happening there. So it's kind of if you have a historical society, or you have someone that's willing to help work with parents to do some kind of preserve and serve situation. It's, my question always is where are the kids doing the leadership? Especially when you have fourth, fifth, and sixth graders, you really have to hand them the ball, and they're gonna mess up, but they're never gonna learn if they don't have the opportunity.
I think the capstone initiative kind of ties into that, and I think as a resource, we can definitely present opportunities to kids for that, but we all have younger kids, so we don't necessarily know what that process is. We haven't really experienced any of that, but I do think that there is definitely.
But if you build it now,
Yes, yeah,
as what your kids are getting older, it would be like something they're looking
Yeah.
forward to.
absolutely.
I'd like to add on that while we've had some successes with the help of and support of both Mary and Lindy coordinating these one-off engagements, and Ms. Braun as well for outdoor ed, we're really looking for some guidance and support in establishing something that's a little more regular
That's what I'm
and
talking about.
integrating into the curriculum of classrooms as well without placing a burden on educators. And that's where we've never done this before, so if there is any other example or resource across the SU or neighboring SUs that might have done this, we would gladly take a look to adopt something,
Yeah,
like a plug and play.
yeah. We know, the community school model is that where, this initiative comes to the school adopts it for that engagement, but we just don't know of any examples where it's been done. So we were looking to the board to give us some ideas or thoughts on how it's worked before.
And if you have someone to help coordinate both parents and teachers, and they can work together, and you can get a lot of standards actually through these things. And you also can pull like much older community members in, where they can tell the stories of their farms and what things used to be like and how things have changed. So there's kind of the evolution of what's going on also.
Yeah.
And the more, my experience is the more people you have pulled into your school, the better for the school.
Yeah, and we definitely would love to do those things. We're just curious about the exact implementation. When we start with, you have been so amazing in giving us great guidance, but we don't want to burden you. And we also don't want to put it all on Ms. Kelly or Ms. Braun.
Right.
To be the people that pull that together. So we just don't know, is there a way that we can do a standing once a month farm and forest to school day with the kids, or if it's
2 hours on
Yeah,
Thursday
yeah,
from
or,
11 to
and
whatever,
all the kids.
and then you schedule it accordingly. I just had my parent-teacher conference, I have a fourth grader, and how would that fit in, to their curriculum, and they've.
Fits into the curriculum, like Robin said, there's lots of ways to fit it in, it's finding
Yeah,
classroom teachers are so protective of their time.
yeah.
It's figuring out how to do that, whether we think of like an extended model or something, I don't know, I'm trying to get creative on the fly here.
Or if we could get a, like just a brief overview of their goal curriculum for the month, and we can figure out a way to slot our thing that ties into that, so it's less disruptive to the overall, their classroom timing. But we can be the ones that are then,
Help supplement.
supplementing it with.
They just went apple
their
picking,
child timing.
Yeah. Like to tie the apple picking thing into the, yeah, like,
It sounds like you have the resources, it's right here. It's just a matter of coordinating.
I think that's our question.
it's unfortunate that Janie left too, because he's the link to the other boards.
Yeah, we know that there are.
I don't know that another,
I was wondering if what they did in Bethel at the middle
Yeah,
school, like,
that-
would be the one to look at, just to see
Mhm.
what they
Right.
did,
it's the only one that comes to mind.
right.
Sharon Elementary might be that one.
Because they kind of started it from scratch too, so to be able to kind of understand what their process was and what their challenges were and what their successes were.
Yeah,
Could
we could
be,
read this.
And I definitely, and I love all this, I also know that I wish there was more time in the day, because there's so many things that I want these kids to do, and we do have to continue to make sure we're hitting our other, skills, and I definitely think that there's a way that we can incorporate, like you were just saying, maybe if we knew what was on the curriculum, we would be able to have some supplemental, like you said, apple picking, how else could we have,
I think we need to partner up with Sharon Elementary or something like that, because they have it pretty strong. Because I know we tried to get some info for Bethel, but Sharon is a little more mirror image to us. And that might be a better, just thinking out loud.
Yeah.
Because I do know we should.
And to play with science a little
Right.
bit, like, my son is not super into science, but maybe if you related more to growing carrots, or I don't know, like.
I know there's a worm,
They are
there's
doing
a
a carrot
worm,
thing.
something going on in that room. That email was all like, what? We're gonna put worms there.
Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate this group. I know I call myself the brawn, not the brains, in participating in it. But I'll tell you this is a firsthand witness watching my son and our kids. Owen would never touch those vegetables as they came out of the bag, but knowing that seeds were planted in their ground at their school just really encouraged him to be snacking on vegetables. And coleslaw was made last week and from cabbage that the fifth graders harvested from the gardens. And the kids aren't gonna eat the coleslaw. As you updated us.
It was the most popular thing. I've never seen so many kids eat coleslaw.
But the excitement of them being involved with that process, which is wonderful to connect them to natural food. We're in a country that unfortunately, I feel like we're exposed to so much unnatural foods. Thank you for your brains.
Also, if anyone from the board wants to join, we have an upcoming event. The kids are all gonna make a harvest soup with the ingredients we've grown. And we're gonna do a lunch, and parents are invited to attend. Actually, they can attend if they'd like, but.
The 22nd,
Yeah,
right,
22nd.
at noon.
Okay, great.
I've got two suggestions. One having to do with the irrigation system. And we're going to be starting our capital budget development and our operating budget, maintenance budget this fall. And it accumulates next May when we have a vote by the town. And those votes are both the operating and the capital. So you're probably in the best position to say what kind of irrigation system makes sense and cost effective to serve your current garden. And any thoughts you're having about, well, gee whiz, this is phase one, but in phase two, we want to double the size of our gardens or something. If you're talking about a capital system, you want to you want to make sure you have the water pressure and the design, so you can do that. So I can't speak for the board, but the board does accept requests for, or suggestions about capital programs, large and small. And you're not too late to give us some guidance on that and a cost estimate. That's the first thing. The second thing on your library, I love the library idea. And Stockbridge is blessed by having a trustees of public funds that have a very large series of 6 endowments. And one endowment is the Everett Whitcomb School Fund. And it's to support way back, we had 17 schools, now we've got 1. So it's to complement our school budget, and it has been used in years past for special initiatives or to help the principal do something that wasn't necessarily budgeted for, but you need the money to do it right now. So there's no guarantee, but we have trustees, they meet 4 times a year, and they have funding. And you can read their report every year in the annual report of the town. And I suggest that could be a possibility for the special initiatives to supplement reading material or hands-on material that we could have expand our school library in that way. And if you need more information there, you can go on the town's website, and if you need any suggestions at all, you can let me know. I used to be on the board. So, but I think this is an exciting small scale thing that just adds up to reinforce and to educate, and it helps another kid connect. And it might not be the kid out there with the cabbage, but.
But if somebody's excited about being outside and doing something, you
Yeah.
might want to come in and maybe they're not much of a reader, but then suddenly they get excited about a book that is about what they were just outside doing, or about the seeds and the plants that they were just, identifying and looking at. And so I would like to see that explored a little bit more, that concept and what it would look like and how we could do something like that. I agree.
We also recognize we definitely want to encourage in these kids like a sense of autonomy and, their own impact and decision making. And so letting them, have access to a library, or letting them make their choices about what we're, mapping out the beds for next year, and choosing what we're growing and making those decisions so that there's ownership and buy-in from them, so that the next year they're like, oh, well, we can have a big watermelon party, or we can do that, like all these things, so that they are feeling really engaged in it is the goal for sure. And the library definitely.
So thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, let's also put on our thinking caps of anything else that we feel, any other way that, you can really get
Great ideas.
stuff off the ground.
I do have another question.
Sure.
Just about organizational stuff. So as it stands right now, if we have a list of like people to reach out to for funding and grants and all that stuff, but as it stands right now, everything funnels through the school. Is that the best way to do it? Do we kind of identify ourselves as its own organization, or do we keep it through, Stockbridge Elementary School? Or is it worthwhile to exist as a standalone? I'm just curious if that.
Yeah, for like grants and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, you would need to ask our grant people.
Connect you with Tara, remind me.
Yeah, you definitely
Connect
need,
with Tara, our business manager, she'll be able to tell us whether it's
yeah, because I really don't know
better
what
one
your
way or the
best,
other.
because sometimes when you do something one way, you have access to more stuff than if you did it another way, and I just don't really, I don't know those nuances, so, but we know who to connect you with. Absolutely.
Plus, there's other grants available, because we have endowments also
Yes.
for the joint schools as well.
That's right, we do. There's also, that's right in the Rochester.
Yes, we do have other funding areas. So we definitely, these projects, see what they could really look like.
How does that work? Do we just lay out the plan and then present it to the board? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and
Yeah, there's a difference for the,
for the trustees of public funds in Stockbridge is it's its
separate.
own entity.
Yes, yeah.
Right,
so that
and then-
goes directly to them
But we have funding endowments.
through the board.
Is there a regular application, or is it just?
No, it's pretty informal.
Yeah.
But you're
And you're
lucky,
looking-
so
there's
now the applications are
three-
first.
The three trustees are right here, so.
Would it be valuable for us to request to get on your next agenda item for follow-up and action items and ideas to implement? Is that
Sure.
okay to accept, to
Yeah.
request now?
Yeah,
or-
no, absolutely,
or
request now, absolutely. It'd be a good time to.
So
I think that would be-
Work on our items and figure out our
Keep the
specifics.
deadline.
Yeah.
I understand that concept too. Yeah. Great, well, thank you so much. Is there any further conversation that thank you very much for coming and definitely, like, hope you, we gave you some positive feedback of how much we really are encouraged by what you're doing and want to continue to encourage you to move on this and figure out what kind of needs you have and how we can connect you with the right people and how we can help address those. Absolutely.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Don't worry, you guys are welcome to go. Whenever you can get up and leave whenever you want, or stay, whatever you want, that's fine. Okay, so we're gonna move on to 8.2 FY16 board goals and next steps, or was that what you were saying is an additional?
No, we can go
You
ahead
had
and
that,
go
okay.
forward. We just need to remember to go back. We could go back.
I see what you're saying, yes, okay.
We can go back
Let's go back
next
next
month.
month, yes.
But we can talk about goals now, and we were, and I think the punch list that was created at our retreat that Jamie has in his report is, could be as a foundation of those things that some of those things that we want to focus on this coming year. I took the liberty of drafting something if you want to see it.
Absolutely.
Um,
Your eyes must be really good.
Thank you. Thank you.
And this is from Jamie.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, we don't have extra
Here.
copies. Do you want me to explain?
Sure, go right ahead. You're very familiar with it.
This should look almost identical to the goals that we established our last fiscal year ending June 30th. And so everything that's not highlighted is basically reflects our most recent annual goals setting. And we had basically 6 overall goals having to do with academic and emotional achievement, financial management, capital facilities, planning, communications, community outreach, and board governance. So this draft, and again, we can take this and tear it up, whatever you want, but I just thought that we work from our prior goal statement and then try to incorporate those 5 things that were in Jamie's report that came from our retreat. And if you remember Jamie's report, it looks like this, A through E. First page of Jamie's report, and he called it buckets. And what I tried to do was to take those 5 areas and incorporate it into the format of our goal sets, so that we don't have to go into page 2, try to fit it all in one page, but try to reflect what we were interested in at our retreat. And then from that, we would be working, okay, how we're going to fulfill those goals in that level of detail we don't normally do on our goal statement. So that said, we've got a vision, mission, and FY26 goals. This is a draft. And in this draft, the vision statement remains the same. The mission statement remains the same. The academic and social emotional is the same, but we have, due to that thing, is to look at where we're going. And what is new is that we're going to have a new strategic plan. And so it makes sense that we not only want a budget that we need and want, but we got to check in with whatever that new strategic plan is to make sure that we have monies adequate to support that year one of the strategic plan. And what also is highlighted is we're going into talk about dark territory with Act 73 and the legislator. So I've in bold, again, who knows what we're going to have when we get through or further along in our budgeting process. And those things we do not control, we can try to influence. So what's new under number 2, financial management, is that we're going to be trying to be consistent with the new SU strategic plan when it's adopted. And the second bullet, the budget that we can afford. Normally there's spending thresholds, and our goal has been to be able to achieve everything we want to achieve, but not exceed those thresholds because there's a penalty. And so this says we're going to still try to not be penalized. We don't know what the legislation is actually going to be, but again, we've got uncertainties due to the legislature. So that's under financial management. Under capital facilities, last year we had a goal about working with the select board and the Valley Hub to support it and coordinate with them. Okay, and our measure was, well, did it pass and did we help? And it passed and it's moving. So this goal would be not to wait and see what happened. Now we're seeing what's happening, but we want to have continued teamwork.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think we've been committed in a team with that effort very vigorously, and I think we helped.
I agree, and I'd like to continue that relationship.
And it's also in our self-interest. We don't want to lose that auditorium. We don't want to lose that music room. And I'd love to have some senior citizens around to help us take care of the kids and do extra programming and what do you call it?
I do want to take the comment out, kicking the can down the road isn't a sound strategy, because I don't feel that I think we've reversed that. I really think that we are being proactive now with looking at our facilities and our capital improvements and trying to get ahead of the game and really putting money into our facilities to keep them sound.
And we have possibly not as much as we like, but we have gone a long way on increasing our capital funding program each year.
Yes.
And that's been the traditional place for public bodies that are short of money. They always defer that equipment replacement or that system replacement or that roof replacement another year. And then it comes crashing down and it's very much more expensive and you have to bond it, blah, 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 blah. So, let's come up with a better comment.
Yeah.
Thank you. Under planning, phase 2, phase 1 is what we talked about at the retreat, which was the task force results from their year effort of figuring out where we should be headed. And so we have that for guidance. And the other thing is that Act 73 and the legislative action that's gonna happen. And so we need to be on our toes to see if we can develop, I have viable plans to meet. We need to be thinking ahead. And one of the things that was about whether we need any thinking about restructuring, whether we combine classrooms or separate or things like that. And this attempts to say, we're not gonna sit back and eyes closed and wishful thinking. We're gonna say, how can we, like the Act 73 has minimum class sizes. Well, can we do anything to meet that expected goal and be better prepared? They give us 3 years of average size, but, so this means to be proactive, but we can't go out on a limb because we don't know what the hell there's going on. So that's the goal under, or what I was trying to do under planning under 4. And then there was a great deal of comment and suggestions from the task force about our communications, strengthening the community school bonds, the sense of being one system rather than, and we've gone a long ways. We're not Stockbridge and we're Rochester, we're RSUD. We're one educational community. But we were encouraged to continue to work on that. And so I tried to capture those bullets that Jamie recorded from our retreat and inculcate them in number 5 and expand the community involvement communications to connections. And we talked about some of that tonight, going and visiting Pittsfield, see what they're doing. Because I think we're a viable alternative, whether we want to go that way or not, we'll find out. So number 5 attempts to take the retreats task force recommendations and kind of build them into a general goal. And the results will be, we'll be doing some sort of outreach and trying to figure out at the end of the year, how did we do? And I strengthened the comment, listening, learning, and connecting. And then board governance is just a repeat, not just a repeat, but it's very important. And I would like at some time to talk about board development and how we're going to operate that this year. And I've got some suggestions on that you're probably tired of me doing it. So I was thinking that each board meeting, one of us could come up with an idea, whether it was an article or whether it's a book or a chapter or whether it's a topic. We need to know more about the this or that, whatever we want to talk about. Robert's rules for small boards, we need to review that again, or why do we, what are the rules about going into executive session or something? So it could be just, or a board policy that we have, that's your policies, and it'd be very useful for us to consider looking at a certain policy. So I think there's plenty of things that we could hone in on. And my suggestion would be, instead of having one, that we each add our, and there's 6 of us and there's 8 sessions. So we've got budgeting in between. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say. And I think now's the time. How are we doing here? To spend time, 10 minutes or something, whatever you want, on whether you want to change anything, add anything, or you could give it as a homework assignment and you could send us your suggestions, whatever you want. But my goal would be by next meeting in November, we would have to be able to vote on our goals for this fiscal year. We did that last year in our November meeting. So over to you, Amy.
Well, my thought would be to sit with this for a little bit, read through it. This is the first time.
Absolutely.
I think it did come through in an email today, but
was
didn't
late.
really have time to just sit down with it, because this is important. This is our goals for the year, so I don't want to rush through it. I don't think that we have a lot that's going to be changed if we take it home as homework, but I think it gives us time to ingest it
Yes.
and really get behind it.
I agree with Amy that I think it should be homework.
Yeah, I think it's way premature tonight.
It's really good.
Great.
This is important stuff.
Yeah, that's why we don't want to just rush through.
We're discussing.
Yes.
I do really appreciate the idea of making certain you capture the work coming out of the retreat right here within these goals.
And I appreciate your hard work here, though.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
absolutely.
this is.
No, but we'll please improve it.
Like
'Cause it's meant to be ours.
Yeah.
Um,
And like I was saying, I don't see anything that makes me go, oh, we gotta change a lot of this. I just wanna sit with it though.
please do.
So, great. Thank you. So we'll definitely put that on. This is everybody's homework.
Okay, so could I ask that all suggestions go
Absolutely.
go back to all of us so that I can pick up on it and help me redraft? And my goal would be is to have a redraft based on all the suggestions.
Is that,
Through you.
just do
It
one?
shouldn't go to all of you. 'Cause
No.
I would say you're doing board business.
Exactly.
Via email. If it's going to all of you, you're having a
Okay, so to
So-
Amy,
conversation.
So I would bring it to the next meeting. I think that if you have a question maybe, or a clarification, then that's okay to reach out. Those are-
okay,
But otherwise, we should just bring it back to, at the next meeting to do the board of business.
We don't want to violate
Right.
the spirit of the open meeting law.
Yeah, and if you're all communicating, you would.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
got it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so,
Does that take care of 8.2 and 8.3?
yeah, was there any more specific follow-up though, maybe that, from the, retreat that we needed? Did you want to do full assigning of, some specific tasks?
Yeah, I think it
or-
would just be good if you, as a board, I mean, my idea was if folks wanted to say like, I'm really interested, right, in engaging with homeschool community, right? And I want to help you make certain things are on Front Porch Forum, because I don't live in your communities, right?
Right.
So I'm glad to know the letter was on Front Porch Forum already.
It was like,
I don't know how it got there, but I'm glad it was there.
I did not post it
Okay,
myself, no.
okay, someone posted.
I think we did at the SU, because we
Stacy,
have,
Or Stacy did, yeah.
See, there's.
Great.
we have so many, we only have so many. I only can post like 3 times a month directly from the SU, right? Otherwise I have to rely on board members or principals to post if they're members of the Front Porch Forum. And some of our towns have Front Porch Forum, some have listservs. It's different in every community. So if, like in an example, that bucket, if I knew these 2 board members are gonna help make certain that when we send something out like that it gets on Front Porch Forum, that would be helpful.
Is that something that
Regards to
you would be willing to
communication piece.
be maybe on a team with me on?
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask if you wanted a team up on
Okay,
that.
That's great.
I've never posted on Front Porch Forum myself, so I just want to make sure I have some support and maybe between the 2 of us, we can,
I think maybe Act 73, and maybe like 5 things from this month's board meeting, like just bullet point.
That's great too.
That'd be great.
We do have other boards that have a board member that does that. It's great. Regularly, and
That's
they
fantastic.
kind of just, instead of having people have to go look at the minutes, they just summarize what was discussed. at the meeting.
Yeah.
As a community member, that would be very helpful.
Very helpful. How about for Stockbridge?
Yeah, we're both in Rochester, right?
right.
A meeting to do the same in Stockbridge.
Is it the
Yeah,
same
or
Front
we
Porch
can
Forum
we-
though?
No,
It is
it's
not.
But if I send it
This
to
is my whole point.
If we
Yeah,
send it and I send it to you, you can
that-
just post it.
Do it.
Sometimes they share, but.
So
Yeah,
we'll-
have it one point in there.
Yeah,
That's great. That's great.
yeah, so if I just came up with like, 3 highlights.
Yeah, and just send it to Josh.
Yeah.
Josh can post it.
And can we make sure we have our next scheduled board meeting on there too, the date? Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Always,
Oh,
I think that'd be good.
Yeah,
People to know, yeah.
I just signed up for the thing, so I don't have to backlog this.
the superintendent's letter to the community dated October 5th, I don't think has hit Front Porch Forum yet, and it's phenomenal, Act 73. And
There was a link to a letter today, so I think that.
I
might-
wasn't sure it was this letter or another
tell
letter. Anyway, if it's, we all got it on, and just read it. I mean, this is, and
Yeah, that's the letter she's talking about, that.
That one
I
out
signed.
today.
Yeah, that's-
Yes.
That's the one that,
It was.
it's not from the, it's, well,
yes, it's not us, but I'm just saying, was that posted?
yes, that's what she's
Amy's on there.
commenting on.
That's
what
what I was
Oh,
definitely
okay,
about.
I saw your name, I didn't know you had posted it.
I don't
Yes,
know.
it was posted on my behalf. I signed the letter.
It was there yesterday, and I had been asked
Thank you.
questions about that from the community, so I was really happy to see.
Oh,
I was like, I agree that they did it. Well done.
So if you want a 3-page summary of where we are and why it's important, check Front Porch Forum.
Parents would have had an email to them as well, but, yeah.
Okay.
The,
Yeah, it says, please read the most recent board letter. Today is also on there, so.
Good.
It's the same letter that was posted yesterday, but it's there again today.
in regards to connecting with Pittsfield, is that gonna be Bill?
I'm okay with that.
And you want 2 members on that, or you just want 1 member on that? And then there's also connecting with Greenville Hancock. I'm headed to, so I'm gonna work with Stacy to figure out what event we could hold there to get, some community outreach. Like I said, we have a bit of a challenge sometimes within that district, like at our annual meeting, even we get about 10. And so just how to be able to bring the community out. So I don't know if Amy, you want to work with me
Sure.
and Stacy around
Yeah.
thinking that through. One of the things I am going to be doing here in the next month is going to the Quintown Community meal. You come too?
Yes,
Good.
Mary.
Do we have the date yet?
The first Friday in November.
Great, okay.
That's all right. No, I don't know. 7.
And then the big one, and I think this is gonna be an ongoing conversation at your board meetings, actually, and then we'll need to hold some community forums about, topic E to gain community feedback. I mean, next month you'll get a report from Lindy that's gonna show you what you currently have right now in regards to your current enrollment within each of your classroom sections, both your multi-age, and then in each building, and your straight grades in each building, but then show you if you were to combine them by cohort where you'd be, with also the key, meaning like what's actually an Act 73, right? So you'll see, this is what I currently have, here's what it would look like if you were to combine students across campuses in order to try to comply, and here's what, the targets are. So reminder, first grade, it starts in first grade, right? Because kindergarten is not required by statute. So it's 10 students in grade 1, it's 12 students in grades 2 through 5, and then at 6, it's 15. Because it starts to move into like middle school. So they did 6 through 8 payment.
Jamie, they say class size, do they say school size?
No, there's no school size. They tried to, but we got to remove.
Thank you.
Yes.
So really it's the class size minimums. And just so you remember, it's really about core content, even at like an example at the high school level, like an AP course or a world language course doesn't account into those class size minimums. It's literally, it's the core content areas that do. Same for you in regards to that, the elementary, like your essentials, those outdoor, none of that counts. It's really like your assigned
We find it
general
essential, but
teacher.
that's good that they don't want to put a minimum on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Bill, if you need more support in Pittsfield, please.
Yeah, I wanted
hesitate
to,
reach
Josh,
out.
if you had any interest in that.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, let's do it. I'll put both our names. We'll
Yes.
do it together.
And
Fantastic.
again, I apologize for not being available on
No,
Wednesday,
no, no.
but just going forward.
Well, it's just the beginning reconnaissance, it's just listening to. Okay.
And I'll copy you, Josh, on that
Thank you.
email tomorrow and say that you brought it to our attention and we were looking to reach out.
Great, thank you.
Are you not around Wednesday, Bill?
Well, my wife thinks I am gonna be, with 3 birthdays being celebrated, one of which is hers. So, I just
Yeah,
forgot.
No.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have it recorded.
I don't think it's a big deal. We can even say we heard this conversation was going and reach out to see if they had any interest in coming to us, or you wanted us to be able to go to them. I don't think that means we've missed the target here.
Okay.
No, I mean, I can always pull up recordings from their,
Yeah,
from their meeting too, to.
but we can use it to start the conversation.
Exactly. But still, you'll still
I'm
be
off the hook.
interested in talking about Pittsfield.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have them wondering where they're at, meaning that they have a long-standing choice within their town. That is why their SU's an SU. Otherwise, it's a unified district over there. And so as we're talking about STs versus SUs, I have some wondering about what their thinking is in general.
And what is the SU that they're in?
They are in Mountain View.
They are in Mountain View.
Yeah, but that is why it's an
Wow.
SU. Otherwise, it is an SD.
Okay. So it would be very interesting, we should definitely reach out to them and just see
I
where
think it
they
is
are.
very worthwhile as we've
Mhm.
reached out to other SUs, and I can even include our proclamation on the email as well that the SU board made, because we've done that with other districts that are contiguous with us, so.
Yeah, it's been a long-term goal of ours, not long-term, every year to try to get students to choose Stockbridge. And we've had some success, thanks to Lindy, but to have them part of us, formally would be. And my question is, I would think that the superintendent would not want to lose Pittsfield.
I can't speak for Sherry, what Sherry's
So
thought
my
would be. I mean,
wonder
I
is, who do
think-
we contact in Pittsfield that has the pulse of the parents that are feeling the economic thing and might want to come our way and start a connection there?
But I think it's even a bigger conversation than just even the choice, right? Like, I think in choice broadly, I don't know, it seems to me that their board may be pursuing wanting to be an SD and not an SU. Okay, and they just submitted a task force letter that's in the public comment, talking about the idea of Hartford, Mountain View, and the Windsor Supervisory Union possibly looking to work together, but they didn't specify whether they were talking about that as an SU versus an SD.
Because if they did that, they'd lose the choice.
Choice would be gone, correct, if it became an SD, yes. So I think there's lots of things for them to consider. I just think I think we have the ability to say we've been doing this not just to them, but with all surrounding
That's true.
districts.
And-
Meaning we're not only reaching out to you just because we want you to send your students here, right? Like, you're our neighbor.
Yeah.
We want to remain an SU. You know, I think it's really clear that that is an SU because they are a non-operating district. The rest have already merged into an S. It's a school district, unified school district that operates K-12.
Is it worth us reaching out to Patrick? Because Patrick did seem interested in Pittsfield, and he definitely said he's holding on till the end of the year to help the transition. I didn't know if he'd be available on Wednesday or something to be ears.
To be honest,
Hearing.
us reaching out this tight, I'm a little worried just how
Okay.
that lands.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
And we appreciate that, Jamie.
I think if we send them an email, send out a letter, we're
Yeah,
not behind the eight
right.
ball. I was a little worried about us emailing them tomorrow as is and then just showing up Wednesday.
Okay.
I agree, I definitely take that advice, so. Because we wanna start a good relationship.
Yeah.
We don't wanna jump out from behind the door.
Well, there's also, there's ground rules, there's superintendents aren't supposed to poach in teachers. Come my way, isn't that true?
Oh, we can't poach teachers.
That's what I'm saying, and this is another type, it can be seen,
It
is
could be-
poaching on communities.
Could be interpreted like that.
We want to be above board and true. And, but I do think, to me, there's a possibility they could do better with us than.
Well, it'd be nice to just meet them and
Yeah.
to understand. where
Yeah, and I
they're
don't
at.
have the history of what happened when these two SUs merged, why they decided to go that route during Act 46. I don't, because they were part of the initial Windsor Northwest
Correct.
supervisory union. And then when that merged with Orange North to create WRBSU is when Pittsfield went.
Well, I think that
That direction.
Act 46 was so very confusing. They were saying you could only be a district with, if you were contiguous, you touched. So, there was some miscommunication, so I'm not saying that's what it was, but I definitely know that came up in conversation that there was possibility that they could not be, because they would need to be part of Hancock Granville, they would stay.
There was some talk there, is my sense, right?
So it'd be a good opportunity to reach out. Okay,
8.5,
that's right, we started at 5:30, we didn't start at 6. Okay, so,
8.5?
yes, let's move on to 8.5, please.
So Act 73 updates are, there's a forum happening with the task force. It's a public forum in Bradford on Friday.
This is the Montpelier Task Force, just to.
Yep,
understand.
Yeah, Act 73 map drawing task
Thank you,
force,
the
right?
map drawing task force.
So I think that there will be good representation from our SCA members there. Certainly, we timed the letter we sent out to get as many people as possible to try to write in with their concerns or questions prior to that. At the end of the day, the task force by law has to provide a map that includes SUs.
Okay.
There's still a lot of debate at the task force level about the pros and cons of SUs versus SDs. I think I'm not surprised by this, but the Superintendent's Association came out, with overwhelming support for SDs. That's not a surprise to me. I'm one of the few that are, continuing to speak to why I think supervisory unions are a viable and important governance structure, specifically for rural parts of the state. So the task force has heard that. I think within Act 73, my biggest fear right now is that some momentum coalesces around these SD maps at the agency and the Vs and possibly with the governor. I think he wants less SUs or SDs right now coming out of the session. I don't think he was married to this idea it had to be SDs. But the agency seems very wedded to SDs, which is concerning because they haven't really taken a public stance other than their proposal were SDs, right, and 5 of them. But I think even at that point, not everyone fully understood the differences in regards to governance of an SU to an SD, because if you don't live this, you don't understand the difference of it, right? And we don't have SUs everywhere in the country. Some places are SDs, right? And there's not an SU makeup. And in other parts, SUs are common governance structures. And so, with all that said, at that point, I think it would be the RSCA's work and ours to then work to oppose the bill altogether. But knowing that something needs to be done, right? Like, I think there is a real desire in Montpelier to have less supervisory unions and supervisory districts, of which I would agree with. I don't think we need 52 governance structures across the state. A lot of our SDs, even multi-titled SDs, have shrunk a great deal. And so, I would argue an example, where I live up in Calais, you could have an SU with 3 boards that, served, Montpelier, Roxbury, Washington Central, where I live, and could be Twinfield as an example. And I know Twinfield has a desire to move more toward Washington County versus right now they're in an SU more north. That seems like you'd get better scale, right? And there could be some savings met that way. The other thing too, I think that we struggle with within this state, and if you look at it, is that I think sometimes we also struggle with having, frankly, 52 viable superintendents in the state. And I think we ought to have more competition in regards to the candidate pool. And so I don't mind saying that, right? Like, I think that's just truth. And if you look, leadership is really critical, right? Between boards and superintendents working together around accountability and efficiency. And I think we need to do a better job of that. The thing I don't like in this bill, and I haven't all along, is there's not really any accountability metrics other than minimum class sizes. Right? Like there's not, I mean, the foundation formula still allows you to spend up to, 10% more early on if you choose as a community. You can have a special vote, right? Like there's not any accountability to try to better support kids around continuity of services, example, and through special education, right? There's nothing in the bill that requires you to partner with regional boards in regards to a BOCES, even though there's a BOCES bill sitting out there. They could have embedded that as a requirement under Act 73, or at least require boards to explore it. They didn't. And so, it'll be interesting to see, does a map actually even hit the floor, or do they go back to work on the bill entirely again? I don't have a good sense.
Yeah, it's just so tough.
I just for the information for the other members, the members here, to very simply explain some of the implications of going to SDs versus SUs, like one of the major ones is this board disappears. You won't have local input. I mean, we might have one board, but it would be in Randolph based and encompass all the schools.
And we might have one member on that board where we have,
Maybe.
if we're lucky.
Yeah, right. There's a whole other task force that will work on the redistricting in regards to what the electorate would look like, right, around appointments to those boards.
That's why this new community letter is so important, because it's just boom, boom, boom. Here are the reasons, pro, con, we can all understand it, it's readable, and it's credible, so.
And from a very practical political sense, some of this is, a setup for closing schools.
So is it one person per town or?
No.
We don't even know that.
Right, okay,
They haven't even,
got it.
they gotta adopt district maps first, right, before they can decide.
And, a lot of times they do it by population, right?
Right, so we would get screwed.
Exactly.
If the task force looks like it's leaning towards coming up with a district, school districts rather than supervisory.
Well, they have to provide supervisory.
I know they have to do that. My question is, if they're really not into supervisory unions, they could create a lousy map. So at the same time, do we want to get in the weeds to help them create the most viable supervisory union-based map? And where is the rural community and school allowance? Are you going to bite on that, or they can?
No, we've been trying to do that. I mean, I would say to you that the committee appears to be incredibly split in regards to like 6-5 versus 5-6 in regards to actually considering.
But anyway, there's a process going on
Yes.
that to help them come up with the most viable SU
Yes.
map.
Yeah, and frankly, true, I mean, if you look at like I said to you at the retreat, if you look at the CT map
Yeah.
as an SU in our area, I would argue it's really viable. It's 3,900 and some change students, and almost hits the 4,000 threshold. And it would add 3 more boards to the SU, which isn't that, I mean, that could be doable, right? And so to me, locally, that's by far the most viable map for us. And it would still allow you to have a local district, you still get school choice, none of that changes. And so what that would mean, it would be adding Orange Southwest School District, which already came and met with us at the SU meeting, right? Braintree, Brookfield, Randolph. And then it would mean adding Echo Valley, that's a K-8. They're planning to join us they're up in Orange and Washington. They're planning to join us at the SU meeting this coming month. The district that has put in a letter, if you look at public comment to the task force, which I thought was interesting, and the vote was 7-1, because we had some preliminary conversations with them, is Payne Mountain, which is Northfield, Williamstown, has indicated they would like to go to the north. They don't want to work toward the south. And I think a big chunk of that is that their travel is more likely toward the north. And so they just see themselves, there's more in common there. But if you look at the CTE map, they would be within that CTE region, because that has been their designated tech center for a long time. And there's also, Robert would probably remember this, I don't know if anyone else would, is we used to have something called the Green Mountain Forest Collaborative, where those boards and superintendents met regionally to work on things like professional development and policy and things of that nature. So that's before, at that point in time, there were 5 supervisory unions within that region. Now there's 3, 1 SD and 2 SUs. But at one point there was 5 SUs.
So you just commented on the 4,000 threshold. So we have a class minimum is in the bill, and there's also another threshold. There's a 4,000.
They're trying to draw maps that have between 4,000 to 8,000
But is
students.
that part of like the law too? It is, okay.
And that's at the
Legislature
SD
changes
or
it.
SU level. It's nothing to do with schools.
They could change that in their deliberations next year.
And if you look, it doesn't actually say it's a requirement. There's some language that says,
Recommendation kind of.
Because the legislature's got to figure out how this is going to work. so anyway.
3,900.
it's essentially talks about sparsity and if possible.
Thank you. Is there any further questions from the board on Act 73 updates? We can move on to the last 3 agenda items, and one of those is public comments, and maybe some of our public will be able to ask some clarifying questions on that topic. Okay. Nothing on 9. We have no action items. 10, any new hires or resignations?
We do have a special education paraeducator who has chosen to move to a different position. Her name is Lacey Champney. She works with some of our elementary students here in Rochester.
And she's moving out of our district, or just to another
To another
position?
another like job
Total other job, okay,
altogether.
okay. And
But
then
not
she-
within our district.
No, like.
That's kind of what I
Like
was sounding like.
learning that maybe working with kids is not.
Right, well,
Well, it's a lot harder than people think.
yes. And thanks for identifying it within the first few weeks of school and not. Okay, great, so let's move on to public comment. I don't know if you guys have any comment on anything we've discussed, or have any questions you want to ask of our superintendent about Act 73. A lot, but we'll continue to try to update the public as we know stuff.
This is your moment.
I was a member of the community task force to help gauge the survey, and I thought that was a great exercise. However, overpowered by this Act 73. And I think we just are losing sight of being able to ask the right questions in a really awkward time. So I'm like curious if maybe there's another opportunity to do something when more information comes out, if there even is exercise for the community to have a voice or get surveyed, has better input. I think we're overshadowed right now. All that work that we did is gonna
But I do
come out in the
agree,
wash.
I absolutely appreciate that work, because we understand where our different stakeholders are. So that does really help us to push towards things that we know what our community is looking for.
Yeah, and I think that was a good exercise to do it.
Yeah.
It also was a little disheartening to
Yes.
see a lack of input that our community was able to come forward with. We tried. I think we could have worked harder. I think you guys as a board could open some doors to the community. I love that front porch forum idea post the summary of what tonight's conversation was, so more public can see what's being discussed. And I think it's just really important for board to have more engagement with the community, to know more of a pulse of what the parents and community need from the board.
And not just related to Act 73.
Yeah, beyond that.
I mean, Act 7, all the stuff last fall about Act 73, or maybe it was the spring, was great, but also like, let's talk about other things, like, let's, I mean, I'm the president of the Stockbridge PTO, and like, how can the PTO support the farm to school initiative? How can the PTO support the board? Like, is our meeting on Wednesday even advertised? Probably not, like, all those things take people to do them, and, the doers are here.
And I'll just throw out, like, I know it's really on me to get out there and find the information, but I'm not a social media internet person. And so like the Thursday folders are great. And so just to kind of echo, like, what else into what you said, Doug, like, it was hard to engage the community at large. And so are we looking at, all the different avenues of communication and
It's hard to engage the community. Period.
I want to be engaged, but I'm just like, I'm not gonna get on front porch forums or on Facebook or anything like that.
And that was something I found really wonderful from the survey and the work that you guys did, was it did highlight avenues of communication that people are looking for information, where our interpretation was that was not the avenue that people would be looking, so it was really wonderful. So thank you. That is definitely our goal, to try to get this information, any information out there. But the engagement is always hard, we're gonna start running into our budget season, and every meeting, there's nobody here to talk about the budget or listen to what's happening on the
You should
budget.
do it the same night as donkey basketball, because the whole community was there.
There you go, right? You're like, okay, your halftime show is going to be the budget.
It is actually the Friday before the budget vote.
Oh, stop, for real. Oh,
That's what it is. Okay, is there any other public comment? Great, well, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for participating in our meeting. Please feel free to come by anytime you'd like.
In person or online?
True, that is the nice, we don't have anybody online today, but a lot of times we do have at least somebody streaming, a board member streaming, or community members, and it is a really nice way to be involved, but not, have to spend your time at the meeting, and still make dinner at the same time.
Especially when it's snowing.
Exactly. All right, so our next regular scheduled meeting is going to be Monday, October 3rd at 5:30 in Stockbridge.
November 3rd,
Yeah, what did I say?
October.
Yeah, that was not already gone. Thank you for, it has been a whirlwind of a week, so. Future agenda item is going to be to discuss and hopefully vote on our FY26 board goals. And if there's anything else
We're also going to.
the farm, we're gonna do an update from farm.
Possible, you're gonna come with some possible actionable suggestions?
Yes, and requests, and something to bounce off of the board to see what's possible.
Okay.
If Robin can do the, evaluate how we did with the prior goals.
And evaluate prior goals. Is this going to be a, like a Google, like a similar type of survey?
If Robin can
It
do
will be, yes, very similar to.
Okay.
Because
It's a nice way to,
it's clean and easy.
yeah, okay,
I
so.
like it a lot.
Especially if you like green and orange.
We'll change the colors.
Goals, survey, and current goals. Okay, if there's any other items that have come up throughout the next couple of weeks, please get in touch with me or Jamie. Great, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.